My name is Pennington, and welcome to the Epic Living blog. Today I want to talk about a subject that's near and dear to my heart, and I hope it is for you as well. And that's the idea of what's most important to you. What are those 3 or 5 things that you're really wanting to make sure you do well at? Is it your job? Is it your family? Is it your health? Your retirement, your investments? Whatever it is, those things are vitally important. But today I'm not going to talk so much about what it is for you as it relates to the values and what's most important. I'm going to talk about the behaviors and the idea of, are your behaviors lining up with those things that you say are most important to you? An example from my own personal life is that the number 2 thing in my life is my family. And every day I strive to make sure that I'm a good husband and a good father. And it's not easy. Because with life coming at me at 1,000,000 miles an hour, which I probably would dare say that's the same for you, sometimes you can go to bed at night wondering, did I do everything I was supposed to do? But one of the things I've found over time is that if you're going to bed at night and wondering if you did the right thing, if you're wondering if you were being consistent, it probably means your behaviors are lining up pretty well. But this is not a post about how great I am, because as I said, this message is for me as well. I'm dealing with the same stuff you are. Life's coming at me 1,000,000 miles an hour. But I want to touch on how we can do some deliberate things to make sure that our behaviors line up with our values, with what we feel, again, is most important. The first one is learning the art of saying no. And though on the surface that may seem very simplistic and easy to do, it's not. And the reason is that as human beings, we have so much we carry with us over time. They call it baggage, emotional or mental or what have you. And sometimes we make decisions out of compulsion, out of insecurity. But here's why I think doing it from the perspective of learning the art of saying no is that, you know what? By doing that, you could be moving out of the way so that the person that really wants to say yes can get a shot at it. If it's not consistent with what's most important to you, if it's not consistent with something you're passionate about, then why bother doing it? Keep in mind, you may win an award for volunteering. You may get the crown for being the best at what you do in your career. But those things fade. And your memory won't hold them unless you're passionate about them, unless they're consistent with what's most important to you. Now, I'm going to take a side road here for a moment and tell you, if you haven't done the first step of establishing and determining what's most important to you, I beg of you to please do that. Do it now. Do it today. Have a friend, have a mentor, or someone who can check your motivations to make sure it's consistent. Don't write a list that you think your best friend is going to approve of, or that your dad would say, great job on. Make it first your decision as to what's most important. So learning the art of saying no, I'll come back to that for a moment. That helps you to basically get out of doing things that are not consistent with what's most important to you, which is a great thing. Yes, it's difficult, but that's okay. Because oftentimes the most difficult things are the things that deliver us the most amount of growth. Next thing I would ask you or remind you or recommend that you do is, if you've written down what's most important to you, double check yourself at the end of each day. And all the things that you did in that given day, how many of them were rooted in what's most important to you? It's not an exercise to bring you down if you failed. It's an exercise at just checking and seeing how you're doing. I'm a runner. And one of the things I love about running is that it's something that I can do, and then I can check myself afterwards to gauge my progress, whether it's how fast, how long. And I'm by no stretch of the imagination going to run a marathon, but what it does for me, it helps me to be sharp and to apply that into the other sectors of my life. So I'm very thankful for that. So at the end of the day, ask yourself those tough questions. How did I do? The third thing, last thing, is to remember that the movie camera is rolling, and you got people watching it. So you're building legacy, whether you know it or not. You may have children, you may not. You may be married, you may be not. But at the end of the day, you have people watching you, and you're setting up a legacy right before their eyes. And in my mind, the best legacy that can be left, at least for me in my pursuits, is that I leave God smiling and I leave the graveyard poor.